Welcome to the Cosmic Couple.
Welcome back, everyone. This week we are going to continue the saga of the dating. There's a couple that stick in my mind. I think it was our second date. Did we go bowling?
I think so.
Yeah.
We had a bunch of kind of quintessential Midwestern 80s, 90s dates.
Yeah. I mean, bowling is definitely your safe second date. It's fun, and there's plenty of goofing around and razzing each other and
Yeah.
competition or fun, and all that. But the first date, a lot of pressure on that to be successful.
Yes.
So a second date like that is a nice relief.
I was trying to remember if on the first date, if you already asked me out for a second date. I know you sent me a flower that next day.
Right.
And I'm sure I called you and thanked you for the flower.
Yes. Yeah, I definitely believe you did. Now, before our second date, we actually saw each other just by happenstance because our city had tried to revive a New Year's celebration using its clock tower.
Oh, right, New Year's Eve, because it was winter break during that time after our first date, and then we weren't seeing each other in school.
Yep. So we had our first date, and then sent to the rose. We maybe talked and such, but then I think the rest of the recess was kind of with friends. Our own friend pods.
And I know that I had family in from out of town, so we had a lot of family time. And then we ran into each other on the streets. We were both hanging out with our friends and ran into you, which was really nice.
It was, yeah. It was nice to be able to see you. And I remember we were both just smiling ear to ear.
Yes.
And I don't know how many people knew by that point. I mean, some of my close friends knew that I had gone out with you at that point.
And some of mine definitely knew that we had gone out. But it wasn't like we had been in school and so people saw us together or something.
Yeah. Was bowling, do you think, I feel like that was during break.
That was definitely during break.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you'd have New Year's and then still at least a week, maybe two before school started back then.
Yeah. And then I remember we both liked hiking and being outside.
Yeah.
And so I remember we had a date and you were like, let's go hiking. And I was like, okay, it's nighttime. Right. I'm like, danger. My gut was like, okay, like I know him, I trust him,
right.
But it was definitely more unique.
It was a leap of faith, right?
Yes, it was definitely. It was winter, and so it was dressed appropriately. Like we knew that we were going to do something outside.
Yeah.
Obviously, we weren't going sledding. We went hiking, and I remember we were like on a hiking trail, and it had snowed a lot. So this area would have ice.
Yeah.
We would get freezing rain. And so we're walking along these trails and everything was fine until it wasn't.
Exactly. It was, yeah. I mean, I loved going for walks at night by myself with my cassette player and headphones and all that. And I would go to this park sometimes and walk around at night. And there was kind of an exhilaration for me with the danger of it. Not that I felt like I was going to be attacked by wolves or anything, but it's night in a dark forest and there's weird sounds. And also I'm listening to music at the same time. So it was maybe an adrenaline rush, I thought, oh, hey, let's bring grace into this world. Maybe, for you, that's a different perspective, right?
Yeah, but I definitely felt safe with you, and I had been getting to know you for several months in art class, so I trusted you.
Yeah.
I mean, we were definitely very good friends by this point.
Right.
And so we were out walking at night and it was icy
So bad.
and I would just slip and I would just had to hold on to you
Yeah.
to keep from just falling constantly. So
It
we had to
was
use teamwork to get through our first hike together.
yeah, it was ridiculously icy, and I don't know if it had been freezing rain, but I think the trails had been kinda trodden down by cross-country skiers
And
and
hikers.
yeah, yeah, and hikers, and then the freezing rain on top of that. So for us to go out there hiking, I'm not sure what I was kinda thinking there other than, "Oh, I really want to bring Grace out to this world that I love and introduce her to it, and I think she'll think it's cool and it's
Yeah.
fun." And yes, it turned out that it forced us to interlock arms and really,
Hold hands.
hold hands. Yeah, because now we're walking in. I mean, I'm probably wearing boat shoes or some kind of dress shoe that has no grip.
You really don't think you were wearing
I doubt I wore boots. I was not
because
good
we
about
weren't
that.
expecting it to be
Right.
that much of just regular.
Yeah, and I don't you might have been wearing boots, but really anything
Probably
would
tennis
not have
shoes.
been able to resist this amount of ice.
You would have had to have cleats on
You would have had
in
to have
order
cleats.
to have stability.
Exactly. So, but it brought about one of my favorite moments where we were walking and we both just lost traction and fell down backwards safely, but we both end up on our back laughing, arms interlocked, that
Comically.
yeah, like at this point we're laughing because now we're just trying to survive and get back to the car without dying and cracking our skulls. So we fall down and we're like, this is kind of ridiculous, laugh, together. We look over at each other and all that. It would have been the point in the movie where the two leads kiss. And I wish I would have kissed you then. Would have been, the perfect moment.
It was very
It
romantic.
really was.
Like it was like a romantic comedy
Yes.
and definitely but it was very respectful and we were having fun.
Yeah, we were definitely having fun, and if I could see instant replay, I'd be like, yeah, look at her face." He's like, but we'll save that for later. We had our first kiss later."
Yes.
So it was yeah, it was pretty comical and quite a crazy date so early in, but again, we had a nice background of friendship that we built in art class, so if it had been the first date or third date of two people that didn't really know each other that well, I don't know, it definitely could have had a different feel to it.
Yeah, and it was adventurous, and
Mhm.
when we look at our life after that, we've definitely had a lot of adventure together
Yeah,
and a lot of fun. And, even in crazy circumstances, we've always found humor.
yeah. It was a perfect, humorous, I mean, definitely a rom-com backdrop that we were in, and we got a lot of laughs out of it afterwards.
And just even at a young age, we were spending time one on one rather than like I know a lot of younger kids will go on group dates and you might be out, but you're not necessarily getting to know them one on one.
No,
And so it worked for us.
it did. Yeah, and it was a beautiful night. I mean, it was still icy and we had to wear winter coats and everything, but I feel like the moon was out. It wasn't
It was bright. It was a really bright
yeah,
moon. I remember that.
right. Yeah, it was lighting up the forest
And there's no
wonderfully.
trees, it's winter time, so there's no
Mhm.
leaves, on the trees and
Yeah,
just this really, bright moon on this very snowy, icy path.
yeah, and, luckily we didn't crack our heads open.
Yes.
So, yeah, we had, yeah, several dates and then, school starts up again. Well, what's that like returning to school now that you've kind of started officially dating?
Yes. And then, the big prom
Yes.
comes very quickly.
That's right. So stay tuned. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.
Bye.